in this episode?
There were three main theories, and one that isn't too main. Obviously, they are suicide, foul play of some type, or a voluntary departure, walk away.
There was the Dana Bailey murder case. It's still unsolved.
She was a student, and she was killed, and apparently her dead body was posed afterward by a killer.
And that same year, Chief Mel Wiley disappeared from Hinckley PD in Ohio, which was only a half hour away from where Gricar grew up in Cleveland. There was many books out there. In fact, one of the gold standards in disappearing and starting over new was written right around that time. Ray received a copy of 20/20 Vision. What is that?
Yeah. There was the famous murder in the stacks. In 1969, there was a murder of a woman by the name of Betsy Aardsma in the Petit Library on the campus of Penn State.
Oh, okay.
And it's called 20/20 Vision.
Oh.
And it takes place on April 15th, 1995. This was written in 1990. He disappeared on April 15th.
It was the 1993 Don Birnbaum murder and that conviction of who was possibly a serial killer.
That was the truck driver case.
Okay.
It was one of the earlier DNA identification arrests. So he's one of the few people who's been interviewed on a cold case show, true crime show, I should say.
Right.
On a true crime show that ended up as a victim on another true crime show.
So 1996, Roy Gricar, Ray's brother, jumps into the Little Miami River in Ohio. Well, that was a crazy year for Ray overall in that area because September of that year, Jillian Robbins, she takes a rifle, onto the Penn State campus, killing one person. The other was wounded. 98, victim 6 comes forward to Penn State Police Department. Yeah. And he stayed at that Sandusky, allegedly soaped him up in the locker room, hugged him from behind. So officers actually hid in another room. So Ziegler, this guy said until last...
Ziegler, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, so I did start listening to Ziegler's podcast, and he brought up some interesting angles to the whole Sandusky thing. But so one question I had, and what court hearing did he have it on Monday? That Monday coming up at 9:30.
All right. Then it was emphasized when Dateline NBC did a program on it.
I saw that. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and that exploded.
The one big thing that jumped out to me was the potential Virgin Islands account.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that's the fascinating part of this. And up until I found out about that from you, I was leaning towards the suicide route. So I mean, but that's the question. Why? So why do you think he would do that? Do you have any theories on why?
A number of them, and one just came out.
Do you think if they polygraphed his daughter now, I know they did back then, but if they polygraphed her now, would that indicate that she made contact with somebody she believes to be her father? Today I'm talking to JJ from Philly about the disappearance of Center County District Attorney Ray Gricar. If you lived in Center County, Pennsylvania during the time of D.A. Gricar's disappearance, you might recognize JJ as a column writer for the Center Daily Times. Between 2009 and 2014, he wrote the column Sporadic Comments on Ray Gricar. JJ is a subject matter expert on this case. In this episode, we'll do a deep dive into all the evidence surrounding this interesting story. Did Gricar end his own life? Was he murdered? Or did he just walk away? After talking to JJ in this episode, my opinion has shifted to a high probability of one of these scenarios. This might change your mind too. JJ, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, it's nice to be here. I just want to say, just before we start, one of the reasons I'm here is I saw your previous podcast on Ray Gricar.
Yeah.
And I thought it was one of the most accurate and fairest ones that I've seen out there.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, that's good to hear. Because I did some brief research on it that was meant to kind of be a summary of the case. What I typically do with my channel is create a summary just to bring awareness to it and see if I can draw people in to actually talk to me about it. And then I do a deep dive on it. So this is kind of one of those deep dives besides, what obviously I just did with Casey O'Day on Fox 8 last week. That should be coming out here soon. Well, JJ, tell me who you are. Where did you go to school? Where were you born and raised?
Well, I was born just outside of Pittsburgh, but at about 4 years old, we moved to the greater Johnstown area. My father was a minister, and he got a church in that area, and I lived there from 1967 through 1992, just short of 25 years. Always in the Johnstown-Altoona State College media markets.
You're a local guy then.
I went to school at Penn State. I'm class of 85, life member of the Alumni Association, which is also an interest, which is, of course, in the same media market.
Yeah.
And I held public office in both Cambria and Westmoreland counties at various times while I was there. I now live in Philadelphia, And I wrote a blog on the Center Daily Times website for a little bit over 5 years called Sporadic Comments on Ray Gricar.
Oh, okay. What paper was that in?
It was in the Center Daily Times, the State College area newspaper.
Oh, okay. How long did that blog go on for?
It went on from February of 2009 to September of 2014.
What about this made you start digging into this? Because I got to tell you, from talking to you so far about this, you are the closest thing to a subject matter expert on this that I have met.
Oh, thanks. I was from the area. I used to hold public office in the area. I still had a few friends in the area that were holding public office in 2005 or relatively close to it. And this is another public official who suddenly vanishes. And that concerned me. And I became interested in the case through that.
Okay.
And you might say at that point, I entered the rabbit hole. I started posting on message boards. Basically, I saw some questions that I knew I could answer because I'd been following the information on the case, and this was public information, and that's basically how I started. And I've been doing that for several years, and a woman by the name of Karen Arnold, who was a former ADA, wrote a very large set of, we called them the Google pages. It was called Ladies and Gentlemen of the Jury. Talking about the case and going into the online discussion. And this is a little bit humorous. I'm sure she did not intend it to be, but she was talking about some of the posters, and she was complaining about, or she was, I think this, talking about some of them and then saying, who is this JJ in Philly? And because I was getting all the information correct, she was convinced that I showed inside information, which at the time I didn't have.
I see.
Everything I was getting was from public sources. She actually said, "All amazing knowledge for a disabled guy from Philly."
Oh, wow. Huh.
Which is, and after listing all these things, and she meant it, I think, very in a derogatory sense.
Yeah.
So basically what I did was, even at that point, I had been in contact with the family over the message board, and they knew who I was. As I said, I went to Penn State. One of the Gricar brothers, Chris also went to Penn State.
Huh.
They could check me out through the Alumni Association site. They could figure out who I was. At the time that I was doing this, I think I had a LinkedIn site. I know I was in Who's Who in America, and you could go and you could figure out who I was.
Yeah.
So could just about everybody else in Center County. So suddenly this thing opened an incredible number of doors. The police knew who I was. I jokingly said I was a person of interest for about a day, and then they checked me out and discovered I wasn't all that interesting.
Right. Well, yeah, because this is 2009.
This was 2007.
Oh, 2007 you started.
I'm just doing this on message board.
Oh, gotcha. It's before the column piece and all that.
It's before anything like that. And I also had reached out to the reporter who was doing it, a man by the name of Pete Bosak, who did a number of good articles on the case. And oftentimes we became friends, and we would run things past each other and just talking about the case. I knew that the police knew who I was, and they knew that I knew who I was and everything like that. And they had checked me out, and I'm told that the verdict was I was pristine.
Oh.
Which is strange, but I don't think they did a good job. But I was supposedly pristine, according to everybody. So It was checked out, and there wasn't anything there. And you could do a citizen's blog what was called a citizen's blog at the newspaper at the time.
Yeah.
And I started because Bosak, he had left the newspaper. He was in, I think, North Carolina or South Carolina. He was still doing a blog on the paper on the Gricar case, and I had done one. And originally, it was intended just to be background. Mm-hmm. Just to be, we're discussing some of the things like, how does the media market play into all of this thing?
Right. Yeah.
The really technical stuff that I thought was going to be boring, for everybody, and just, here's the technical stuff that comes out of here and the factual stuff. And about 3 weeks after I started doing it, I got an email from him that said the torch was passed, or the torch is passed. He said basically, look, I'm not getting paid for this anymore.
Right.
I'm out of the area. I think you can do it. The editor approved, so I was checked out by the editor. I've been checked out by everybody, which is hilarious. But
well, so the interesting thing is this period, the Sandusky thing wasn't even known. So
no.
What were you guys? What were you digging into at that point? What were the theories?
Yeah, well, there were three main theories, and one that isn't too main. Obviously, they are suicide, foul play of some type, or a voluntary departure, walk away.
Mm.
There was also a slight chance that maybe he had an accident and fell into the river or something like that. But that was a very, very unlikely possibility.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny you say that, because that was one of my theories. When I was standing out there at that old railroad bridge up there, if I speculated that maybe he dumped the laptop and the hard drive from that bridge, maybe he slipped, fell into the river. That was also one of my theories at that time. But yeah, so there was no Sandusky mention. He wasn't even on the radar. I don't even think the old 1999, I think it was, case.
88 was never public.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. I didn't think so. I don't think it came out until 2011 when the Sandusky thing broke. Is that correct?
Yeah. And the first thing publicly that I heard about it was on, and I will remember the date, it is March 31st of 2011.
Okay.
And I read the headline about Sandusky and a grand jury in the Center Daily Times on their website. My first thought, and I hate to admit this, was, why is the Center Daily Times talking about a corruption in a city in northern Ohio, Sandusky, Ohio? That was my first association.
Oh, I got you.
I'm not a football fan.
Right.
I'm not a football fan. I look at the story because I was interested in grand juries. I had been a long time saying that there should have been a grand jury in the Gricar case.
Miss Knight, on her podcast, she mentioned the same thing. She was, the last episode she did, she was pushing to have some type of grand jury look at this. But
this has been going on for years. I wasn't even the first one. Bob Buhner, who was the district attorney of Montour County at the time, he's since passed away, called for a grand jury to investigate the Gricar case. I did a guest blog before I did my actual blog.
Oh, really?
In the newspaper, on calling a grand jury for the Gricar case.
Huh.
This was in, I think, January of 2009, that there should be a grand jury. This was not released at the time. It has since been leaked, but the Criminal Investigation Analysis Unit of the Pennsylvania State Police, one of the first things that they said was impanel a grand jury when they were looking at how to advance the case. This was 2006.
Okay.
It was private, but people were also saying it publicly. And now we have Rebecca Knight saying it as well. And I think it's a great idea. I think it should be done, but this has so far fallen on deaf ears.
Jeez. Yeah, and I'm sure it doesn't help to have him actually classified as deceased at this point. But he still is a missing person.
Yeah, and they're still offering a reward. Yeah,
I saw the recent PSP tips about that. Looking at Ray Gricar's history, he started out in Cleveland, Ohio. He, as I talked about in my video, he prosecuted the kidnapping case of Ashby G. Leach. And it looks like, he basically lost that case, really, because he was acquitted for kidnapping, but he was convicted of assault and extortion, but he only did 3 months. So in 1979, I saw you having in your timeline that he moved to Center County, and I guess
he had married.
Yeah.
He had married his college sweetheart, Barbara Gray, who was working on her PhD while he was a prosecutor in Cleveland. She got a job at Penn State.
You know what her job was?
Yeah, she was an associate professor. She's now a full professor and a department head.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know that. Oh.
Yes. Huh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's in their business college. She teaches. She does things like dealing with basically mediation and things such as that.
Oh.
She was one of the department heads there. She's written a couple of books on the subject, and she did some, interestingly, in 2004, 2005, she was a guest teacher in Belgium.
Oh, okay. They moved straight to Bellefonte at that point?
No, they were living, I think, it was a Warriors Mark address, but it was in Center County because Warriors Mark is not in Center County.
Oh, okay.
It was someplace in the southern part of Center County. They had a daughter. Ray was originally going to be, and we might as well call him Ray. He was going to be a stay-at-home dad.
Oh, okay.
He had stopped prosecuting. He was not a member at the time of the Pennsylvania bar. And he was going to be a stay-at-home dad, and until about late 1980 or early 1981, he was. And
wow,
the DA,
that's crazy. To become the prominent DA that he did in that area after not planning on doing it, that's fascinating.
Yeah, but I will say this. It was not uncommon there were a few other university professors at the time that were female, and that their husbands became stay-at-home dads.
Oh, okay. Huh.
So that was not too uncommon in that venue. But he was actually approached to become an assistant prosecutor by District Attorney David Grine. Now, you might see the name Grine coming up again because he, at the end of 1981, was elected judge. And he was the judge who presided over the hearing to declare Ray dead in 2011.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And he might have been one of the witnesses to Ray Gricar on 415. His name comes up, and if you take a look at a recent case that we might be mentioning up there, there is another Grine. It's Jonathan Grine. That is his son.
Oh, okay.
I think they all went to Penn State. By the way, Judge Grine, the first one was a state college police officer for about a year.
Oh, okay. So he accepts that job then as assistant DA.
He does. He passes the Pennsylvania bar. He kept his Ohio bar membership, and he worked as an assistant district attorney. After 1982, there was a man by the name, and I think it was Thomas Mix. I'm not certain of the first name. The last name was Mix. Was a one-term district attorney, and he decided not to run. At the end of his first term in 1985, he had appointed Ray as the first assistant district attorney, and Ray ran for the position in 1985. He ran in 85. He won the election against Amos Goodall, who was, interestingly enough, the attorney. Well, he ran against Amos Goodall. He was the Democratic candidate for district attorney. Ray won by about 600 votes, which was not a lot. So it was a very, very close election. And Amos Goodall became the family attorney, and he was also the attorney representing the Gricar family at that hearing for him to be declared dead.
But during this period, Gricar ran into some pretty crazy cases. There was the Dana Bailey murder case. It's still unsolved to this day.
Yes,
what do you know about that case? I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, well, she was killed. She was a student, and she was killed, and apparently her dead body was posed afterward by a killer.
Really?
Who had been watching her from outside of the house. They had found a footprint on a rooftop that they believe was the killer. My knowledge here is less than encyclopedic on this case, but there were some problems with it. When the state college police released a picture of her, they unfortunately released a picture of her roommate.
Oh, no. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. I don't recall the direct quote off the top of my head. I'm sure I have it written down someplace, but he made a comment to the press that basically, police have told you everything you need to know. You don't need to know anything else about the case.
Yeah, and I'm reading that in your timeline here.
Yeah. You want to read it directly?
Yeah. He said, I think we've given residents everything they need to know, and it should be obvious what they should do. And I guess this was regarded as condescending and created bad press.
Incredibly, yes. And remember, she was an undergraduate at Penn State as well.
Man.
And it was sufficient. This is something very unusual. The student government on campus actually issued a call for the police to do more in this case. How many times have you heard of an undergraduate student government asking for the police to do more?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was his first term. It was his first time when he has to talk about something publicly, really with this. He'd handled some other cases as an ADA.
Yeah.
But this was his first time where he was the lead, and this was not his best hour. It's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, well, so 2 years before that, I noticed that's when in 85, he made actual DA over Amos Goodall. And that same year is when Chief Mel Wiley disappeared from Hinckley PD in Ohio, which was only a half hour away from where he grew up, where Gricar grew up in Cleveland.
Yes.
So, I mean, I speculate that he was obviously aware of that, being close to his hometown, that Mel Wiley. I
read about it in Time magazine at the time, so he probably knew about it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, it was national news. That's how I heard about it.
Oh, okay.
And in 1985, a police chief in Hinckley Township, Ohio. It's the same place where the buzzards return every year. They originally thought he had drowned. They found his car parked near a lake at a state park. He had mentioned that he was planning to go swimming.
Yeah.
They found his wallet and everything in the car, some towels, like he'd just gone in there to go swimming, and he drowned. Well, he wasn't a strong swimmer. He was talking about going to get a bathing suit at a sale at the local Kmart. There was no sale. They found that he had typed a letter. They found on the ribbon of an old-fashioned typewriter.
Yeah.
He had typed a letter to a friend that said, basically, I'm going away and I'm going to be a few thousand miles. I guess it was the distance to San Francisco by the time you read this. And he had apparently, and that's what they believe, and that's what everybody, including the FBI, believes, he voluntarily left. He just wanted to start over.
Yeah, that's a fascinating case.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody ever developed any motive for why he'd want to start over like that. You know, whether there was any debt. There was many books out there. In fact, one of the gold standards in disappearing and starting over new was written right around that time. I can't remember the name of the book now. But
he used to work, and I think as a technician for the FBI dealing with fingerprints. So he knew about IDs.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of those people who could know how to disappear at that time.
Yeah.
Since we're on the subject of how this ties into something that happens in State College, Wiley had absolutely no ties to Center County. He had an interest in a case that happened in Burnt Cabins, Pennsylvania in 1967, but he had no ties to Center County at all.
Oh, he had a really? What was the Burnt Cabins case?
It was the kidnapping of Peggy and Brad Nett.
Yes, we just missed she was speaking at a church a couple weeks ago. We were supposed to go and
I've heard tapes of her speak. She's great. She's fantastic.
Yeah, I plan on actually doing a production about that.
He found the case fascinating. He would talk about it all the time, like me with Gricar. So that's he was interested in the case. That's the closest thing that you have to Center County.
Okay. How do you know that Chief Wiley was interested in it?
Because he talked to everybody about it, and it was in the Time magazine article.
Oh, interesting.
In 1985.
Oh, fascinating. Huh.
Yeah. And you can, if you have access to that, you can take a look at it.
No, I'll definitely. I didn't really dig much into that one. I just was doing a brief timeline and how to align with Gricar, but I need to, yeah.
Just as an aside, the title of the article, I believe, is something like, or the subtitle is Judge Crater Meet Chief Wiley.
Huh, okay.
And anyhow, the interesting thing is, 1985, Ray probably knew about it, might have talked about it, but there was staff that came into the office well after that, and they remember him talking about the case. I mean, we're talking about Karen Arnold, the one that I talked about, thinks that she remembers people talking about the case in the office when she was there, and she didn't start until 88.
Yeah.
Steve Sloan, who was one of his best friends, who was also an assistant prosecutor, remembered him talking about that. He started in, I believe, 1991 and was laid off almost immediately for financial reasons and didn't come back again full-time until 93.
Oh, okay.
So this was well after the case was in the news.
And 88 is when the Judge Oiki scandal breaks in Cambria County.
Yes. I was there for that, yes.
Yeah, that is a crazy case. I didn't even hear about that until you brought it up and I started looking into it. I'm like, what the heck is this? Because I've seen Oiki on several different, one of the outlaw motorcycle gangs got into a fight with undercover office state troopers.
Yes, I remember that. Yes, I was living there at the time.
Yeah, and that Judge Oiki was responsible for that and prosecuted the outlaw motorcycle gang members. So that's the only thing I knew about him, but I had no idea a scandal came out in 88 that he was taking kickbacks, I guess.
He was taking bribes. There were rumors, or I won't say, he was actually charged with lewd behavior because he was supposedly sitting around his chambers in just his underwear and then calling a secretary.
Damn.
It was quite a scandal.
Yeah, wow.
Needless to say. It was probably one of the 3 or 4 top news stories, the others being the Sandusky scandal, the 1977 Johnstown flood, and, of course, Ray Gricar.
Right, yeah, for that
area. So you're
area.
talking about 4 of those scandals, and I had an involvement in, I think, all of them at least being there.
Well, yeah, that's funny you say that because when I was talking to KC on her show, I brought up the fact that the reason I started getting into this story was I made that Altoona Mafia video and people started hitting me up with multiple messages saying, please look at the Ray Gricar disappearance. And I remembered hearing the name. I was like 30 something at the time when that came out. So I remember hearing about it, but I had no idea until I started digging into it. I was like, what the heck is this? But she said, and that's because, people who lived up there, like her and you, this was, everybody knew about this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. These are just one of those things that it was common knowledge. Well, anyhow, Judge Oiki was of Slovenian ancestry, like Ray Gricar. And he, after being convicted and finding out that they were not going to hear his appeals, he had previously gotten Slovenian citizenship, which he was eligible for, and had fled to Slovenia. He had his wife. He had been in state college at some points, and he was reported at one point to have left for Slovenia from the state college airport, which is, of course, Ray Gricar's jurisdiction.
Yeah.
His wife definitely lived in that jurisdiction because she was a grad student at Penn State, and she fled with him. But he was seen actually in State College. There were reports of him being seen in State College. His wife had been living in the area, had been living in State College.
Yeah,
and,
what's the chances of them? I mean, Ray not knowing a fellow Slovenian, in the law enforcement system.
Yeah, maybe not personally. I did meet Judge Oiki just enough to shake his hand on one occasion. He's the only person that I really knew in this case.
Yeah.
But this was a very, very well-known story. There were articles in the National Enquirer about it. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal about it. I mean, this again was another thing with national coverage.
Well, in between, before he fled, you noted that Ray received a copy of 20/20 Vision. What is that?
Yeah. Okay. That would be, there was the famous murder in the stacks. This goes back, we're doing central Pennsylvania history at this point.
Yeah.
But in 1969, there was a murder of a woman by the name of Betsy Aardsma. In the library, in Petit Library on the campus of Penn State.
Oh, really?
In late November, just before, she was stabbed to death.
Wow.
And
another one I never heard of.
Yeah, you might want to take a look at it. There's a book on it called Who Killed Betsy by Derek Sherwood.
I definitely
and I've talked to Derek Sherwood as well. I have a copy of it. It's a good book. They've named a suspect who's now deceased. But they make a good. It's not a foolproof case, but they make a pretty good circumstantial case for it. But what had happened was it was a big, big story. I first heard about it when I was on campus in the early 1980s.
Yeah.
But she was knifed and had collapsed in the very deep stacks in Paté Library. Like I said, it was like a day or two before Thanksgiving. An author by the name of Pamela West, that's her pen name. Her real name is Pamela Kraske, and I've talked to her as well, wrote a book. I think she was an editor for dissertations or something on campus in the late 1980s, early 1990s. Late 1980s. She wanted to write a nonfiction book on the case and contacted Ray to see if she could get the files. He said no, but he encouraged her to do the research on the case. He was not a consultant, as some people have suggested, but he had talked to her about that, none of the details or anything like that. She encouraged her to write the book. She was worried about libel with the person that she thought was the suspect at that point, who since has been cleared, by the way.
Okay.
He was dead at the time as well, but she didn't want to name names. So she fictionalized it and wrote it as a science fiction book.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it's called 20/20 Vision. And it takes place on April 15th, 1995. This was written in 1990. April 15th, 2020, April 14th and 15th, 1995. 14th and 15th, 2020, and 14th and 15th, 2040. And it's about a woman being stabbed on campus. And it's a very fictionalized depiction of Penn State and Center County.
Oh.
I'll give you an example. There's the famous Mount Nittany outside of State College.
Right.
In the book, it's called Mount Shawnee, which is another local Indian name. Their coins play a part in the book. There's a 50-cent piece found, and they make the county seat, and I forget what they call it in the book, as the Center for Coin Collections in the United States. Bellefonte is not the Center for Coin Collections in the United States.
Yeah.
It is the Center for Stamp Collection in the United States.
Yeah, there's a museum there, isn't there?
Yes, yes.
That's right.
Yeah. So it was just, and if you take a look at the descriptions in the book, you can see it's very clearly the same geography.
Oh, that is definitely fascinating. I had no idea. I'll look that book up.
Yeah. And one of the things is, and the book's been long out of print. I do have a copy. You can get a copy. You can get copies of it online or going through books. I have a copy of it.
I'll look for it. Was she a local?
She was a local she worked at Penn State.
Oh, okay.
Penn State plays prominently in this story, okay? She was working at Penn State, and I think she moved out possibly by that time, by the time it was published, but she was talking to him in the late 80s. And one of the state troopers up there got a copy of the book, was talking to Ray about it, and Ray asked to borrow it. Ray never returned it.
Oh.
This was in July of 1990. So Ray very probably read the book.
Yeah. So 1990, he gets a copy of this 2020 vision. And in 1991.
Yeah, and it's set in the area, and it all takes place on April 15th or April 14th. He disappeared on April 15th.
Yeah, the fact that actually was focused around April 15th, it sounds like he definitely had a copy of that book.
There would be a question if the state trooper is lying about it, but I don't think he is.
In 1991, Steve Sloan is hired and laid off due to budget issues within several months.
Almost immediately, yes. And that was one of his two best friends in Center County.
Well, I guess he returns in 1993 just in time for Judge Oiki to flee to Slovenia.
Yes. And he was originally from Slovenia. He was originally from Cambria County. He graduated from high school there.
Judge Oiki did?
Oiki did, but so did Sloan.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Yeah. So he knew about the situation there. He was following it. It was all over the news. I mean, I read about it. By that point, I had relocated to Philadelphia. And I read about it in the Philadelphia Inquirer. Okay, so this was news.
Well, the one that I did not cover in my story, because I actually didn't find out about it until after I made my video, was the 1993 Don Birnbaum murder and that conviction of who was possibly a serial killer.
Yes.
But was that the truck driver case?
That was the truck driver case.
Okay.
And at that particular point, by the time that case came up, he had been divorced from his first wife.
I'm just thinking back to the article I remember reading about that case. They found a body along the side of, what was it, 80? I-80 or something like that?
Yes. That runs just north of Bellefonte.
Yeah. And somehow Ray was able to, and the investigators were able to track that down to a truck driver that came through the area, and he was arrested and convicted. It was
an arrest. It was one of the earlier DNA identification arrests.
Oh, okay.
This was 1993. He did some very innovative work with DNA. He did get a conviction there, and he was interviewed on some cold case shows.
Oh.
So he's one of the few people who's been interviewed on a cold case show, true crime show, I should say.
Right.
On a true crime show that ended up as a victim on another true crime show.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, Dawn Birnbaum, was she from the area?
No, she was, I think, from someplace in New England.
Oh, okay.
And she was basically, from what I understand, a runaway.
Yeah, that's a crazy one. I wish I would have known that at the time so I could have dug into that one in the video.
Yeah, but as it relates to the case, that's where he met Barbara Petito, who was a local reporter covering the story.
Oh, okay.
Barbara Petito was somebody he had been linked with, possibly romantically, but certainly as with a friendship at some time during that period of time.
Huh.
She was thought to be the mystery woman in Lewisburg.
Oh, the dark-haired woman.
That's who they thought she was. Apparently, she has an alibi.
Oh.
But that's who they originally thought it was because she was also a smoker.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So all of this kind of ties in. This is like a very big tapestry.
Yeah, right. So 1996, Roy Gricar, Ray's brother, jumps into the Little Miami River in Ohio. I think it's called the Little Miami River.
It's called everybody there calls it the Miami River. It's technically the Great Miami River.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So he did have a diagnosed bipolar disorder according to some of the materials.
Yes. And at one point, his son mentioned that he'd actually seen the psychological reports on his father and seen the case evidence. He said it was very clear that he had bipolar disorder, and he had in fact retired on disability.
Oh, okay. Though Ray had no such diagnosis.
There was never a diagnosis, but he had a very skeptical view of psychologists and psychiatrists.
Yeah. I mean, I think most people in law enforcement do. That's the other thing. Most people in law enforcement don't make any of that known. So it makes sense if he did have something, he would have hid it, most likely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even his girlfriend didn't know of anything like that.
Yeah,
So
that's
she
true.
said that he had been acting. She said he'd been acting a little bit. He was more tired.
Right.
And I took a nap today, so I don't know what that means. But
Yeah.
they said that he was more tired, and there were some other things that we can talk about when it gets closer to the disappearance.
Yeah.
But there was
So,
never anything diagnosed. But yeah, there have been, and I think I shared it with you, even reports of Roy possibly hallucinating.
okay.
And I think I did share that with you. He had graduated from the same day school that Ray. This is Roy Gricar who was hallucinating. Ray
Right. Yeah.
Gricar. Both he and Ray had graduated from the Gilmore Academy, which has produced a number of very good people, including a former Secretary of the Treasury.
Oh,
It's a relatively prestigious school,
yeah.
and they do have an alumni association. And he had gone. He was talking to somebody else who was I think a producer at CNN at the time,
Hmm.
and was talking about this airplane accident where a group of people were killed, and how he had warned them as a maintenance person about the problem,
Oh, yeah. You did
and
send that to
everything
me.
like that.
That's right. There was a
Yeah,
whole controversy around that, and his. Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it was apparently a hallucination. There was apparently nobody. There was never
Oh, is that what came
an
out of that? Because I remember sending you a
a-
bunch of articles about what was it, a C-37 or something that he was saying crashed around that
yeah,
time, and there were many,
yeah,
but
but nothing.
it didn't align with what he was saying.
It did not align with what he was saying, and they actually the producer called up his wife to offer the condolences and asked if it was about that, and she said he was just basically imagining that.
Oh, wow! I didn't know. I didn't put
So
that together. That's where that went.
yeah, yeah. So he apparently did have some problems. He seemed to be a very bright guy. He had a master's in public administration.
Hmm.
So he was not somebody who was, he was not somebody who was stupid or uneducated or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I know that his children have felt that that he did have a mental illness and that it was suicide.
I see.
Ray, however, never bought that.
Yeah.
I'm anticipating your next question.
Yeah, I
So
read that he said he didn't think that he would do that to his family, and he didn't think it was suicide.
yeah, he could not wrap his mind around that. That
Yeah.
it would be something that could be done, and they said that he would go back every time he would go back to the Columbus area. I think it was Columbus. He would call up the local police and ask if there was any developments in the case, and they would tell him, no, this was suicide.
Wow.
And he could not accept that. So it does happen.
Yeah. Well, that same year, Ray remarries.
Ray married a woman by the name of
Emma Lang is what you have in your notes.
Emma Lang. Emma
Yeah.
Lang. Yes. Thank you. I'm glad I
Yeah.
write this stuff down.
I know,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Leave that in, please. That's good. But it was Emma Lang. They were married in Virginia, and they had apparently been dating for a while because Buhner mentioned that he had met her when she was his girlfriend.
Hmm.
They'd gone out to a district attorneys association thing.
Okay.
That's where they had met, and I'm told that the relationship was like fire and ice.
Oh.
It was very contentious.
Well, that was a crazy year for Ray overall in that area, because September of that year, Jillian Robbins, she takes a rifle on the Penn State
I remember
campus.
that.
Yeah, killing one person, the other one was wounded. And that's a crazy story. I don't know if, I'd like to actually do just that story sometime, because I had no idea, that Penn State had a female sniper on the campus in 1996.
Oh, yes.
But Nicholas Mensa, I mentioned in my video, wrestled the gun away from her. I mean, this guy, he's an interesting guy. He wrestled the gun away from her. She pulled a knife on him and ended up stabbing herself with it. But he takes his belt off and applies it as a tourniquet to her leg to save her life. So, I don't know who that Nicholas Mensa is or what happened to him, but
I'll look him up for you on the Alumni Association site.
Yeah, Nicholas, if you're listening to this, reach out to me. I'd like to hear your story about that.
Yeah. And I remember the story quite well, and I remember, hearing all about it, and talking about it there, and talking about how open the campus was and how relatively safe the campus was. The last murder on campus had been 1969. So, that was Art's month.
Yeah, that's a crazy one. In my video, I went back to that area where the shooting happened and talked about it on the Penn State campus, but. Yeah, it's just, and she's still in prison, obviously.
Yeah, I think that she was, I don't know if it was a guilty but insane or something such as that.
Yeah.
She had mental problems.
Right, yeah. Well, that same year, October of 1996, Gricar prosecutes Douglas Grove in the shooting of
Yes.
Katu Sampson.
And I've said that this was probably his finest moment as a prosecutor, even though he lost the case.
Why do you say that's his finest?
Kintu Sampson was a man from Philadelphia who was African American. Now, I want to be clear, Center County is not a particularly racist place, in my view. I think it's one of the more tolerant areas, but you're trying to prosecute a local Caucasian who shot a man from Philadelphia who was African American, and that person is claiming that they shot him because he broke into their residence.
Oh, is that what it was?
Into a residence.
Okay.
That's what it was. And this is the one that I felt this is the one where he shined, because if he hadn't prosecuted the case, it would have been politically probably a lot better for him, because there's certainly, even if there is not a racial bias, there is a little bit of a bias against Philadelphia. Let's face it.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Let's face it. Right. I live here. Yes.
Yeah.
It might be well deserved, but there is a bias out there. I know the reaction of people when I told them I was moving to Philadelphia, which was usually Philadelphia.
I know. Yeah, it's an interesting move from Center County area to the Philly.
Yeah, from the Johnstown area to Philly, but that was especially I was holding public office at the time, so that was even a little bit stranger.
But isn't Johnstown a mini Philly now?
Maybe now. I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. It's no. It's no. Then it wasn't, but even there, I mean, there was probably more crime than there was. There's probably more crime there now than there was, but it was not.
Yeah.
You know, it was not. It did not have the reputation of Philly. Let me put it that way. Philly does not deserve the reputation it has, but it was still.
Right.
There is a bias. There is a bias.
Yeah.
This was basically. I called this his Atticus Finch moment. From the lawyer from To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
The police did not charge Grove. They said, this is self-defense. We are not charging him. Gricar called a coroner's jury that deadlocked.
Oh.
But because it could deadlock, he could file charges.
Oh.
And he did not have to do that. He very easily could have sat back there and said, you know what? The police aren't recommending charges. I'm not going to charge based on that recommendation. This looks like it was self-defense.
Yeah.
You had the family of Sampson, who obviously were upset, but were basically doing everything that they could. All of their comments tended to be inflammatory, and it tended to be, even though Ray was trying, they were basically blaming him they were blaming him more than they were for Grove.
Oh.
For the shooting.
Yeah.
I mean, this was really, really, he was getting it from all sides.
Yeah.
They walked out of the trial after his opening argument. And refused to testify against Grove.
Really? But, I mean, I don't know the specifics of the case. Was Sampson inside Grove's house? Is that what happened?
Sampson had been abusing his girlfriend, at least according to her. She had been staying at a trailer that Grove owned.
Oh.
Okay? He had broken in several times, and Grove decided that he was going to guard his trailer.
Oh, I see.
And Grove broke in. This was, by the way, before the Castle Doctrine.
Yeah. Right.
Grove broke in and apparently advanced on him, even though he was holding a shotgun.
Oh, okay.
And it was today, I don't even think it would have gone to trial.
Right.
But Gricar filed first-degree murder, second-degree murder, and manslaughter, voluntary manslaughter.
Wow, really?
At the district justice. It was a district justice then. Now they're district judges. I know. But at that level, the first and second degree murder charges were dismissed. He could not even make them stick at that level.
So all the charges were dismissed at the preliminary hearing, or?
No, the voluntary manslaughter was still on.
Oh, okay.
But he had tried for first degree murder.
I see. That's
and he
crazy.
Could not,
I mean, I don't know the specifics of the case, but I mean, if the guy's in his house and
Yeah, well, you have to remember it was a little bit of a different time, and you did not have the concept of the Castle Doctrine at that point.
Well, who was the guy from Philly? Grove.
Sampson was the guy from Philly.
Oh, okay.
What they saw is, and if you take a look at it, there's I did a blog called "Not Everybody Loves Raymond," and it should be in your collection. And it actually quotes, and I actually had to censor some of his father's quotes because he used some language that I generally don't use.
Yeah.
It begins with an N. You can guess what word it is.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't use that word,
Yeah.
and I actually had to censor that. But he was actually saying things like that. They had people, and other than that, I mean, I understand it's his son. I understand he's upset, but it was not helping with the prosecution.
Right. Yeah.
And they actually, at some point, seemed to be blaming Gricar more than they were Grove.
I didn't get this whole case when I was reading the newspaper. I didn't really read into it, so I didn't know what's going on. God, I saw it was a big deal, and there's a lot of articles about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. I'm from the area, and I kind of understand the politics of it.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and I also understand the politics of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And
I didn't get the significance of this case.
It
when I was
became a
reading it.
very racially charged case.
I
And
see. Okay.
yeah,
I get it.
and I think in this particular case, I don't think anybody would have blamed Ray Gricar if he had not prosecuted Grove.
Yeah.
But he went out there and he did it, and he did it against. It was something. It was not going to be a political winner for him.
I see. Okay.
And I was very much impressed that he went out there. Not only that his office did it, but that he personally argued the case.
Yeah.
He didn't fob it off on saying, "Well, we're going to show how important this is to civil rights. We're going to palm it off. We're going to palm it off on one of our new guys to see how well they do." But he personally argued this case.
Yeah, he didn't seem to take the easy way out on a lot of these cases, and that ran him into butting heads with a couple of the judges, and one specifically towards the end there, which we'll get to in a second. Yeah, so 1998, there's the Penn State Police report, and the boy known as Victim 6. This is
with another victim, yes, BK, who was not in the original indictment.
Oh, really?
BK, yeah, it is in the grand jury presentation. BK, at the time when the indictment was coming out, was in the military and he couldn't testify.
Oh, okay.
So he was out of the country. I mean, he's out presumably in Iran getting shot at or something.
Yeah.
And they weren't going to grab him back in here and say, "Well, now we have to come down here and testify." They couldn't get him. So
right.
Victim 6 and BK were two of the victims that were showering with Sandusky, and he had touched them in one case, hugged them during a shower. I don't know what the situation was with BK. It was not penetration. I guess I can say penetration on your site without being too graphic.
Yeah, that should be safe,
but
I think.
Yeah. And it was...
Yeah, and this is really a crazy part of this because, how long was that second mile around at this point in 1998?
They had been founded, I think, in the 70s.
Oh, I didn't know it was that long.
I think.
So was that always Sandusky's operation? Did he start that?
Yes, he did. And I will say this. I'm not going to go into what my actual profession is, but I deal with bylaws, and I've looked at the bylaws and of this organization. They are online. I can send you a copy of them if you want. Because they were in the tax filings. But they were set up in such a way that Sandusky basically could not even be removed without amending the bylaws. And he had to give the approval, I think, to amend the bylaws.
Man, wow.
It was probably the most ensconced I have ever seen a founder of an organization.
Is that right? So he wanted to make sure he locked himself in there and couldn't be removed.
Yeah. In fact, he had actually, quote, resigned in it was I think in like 2009 or something like that when this thing first began to come out. 2009, 2010, when the first reports came out. He resigned. I've looked at those bylaws, and I would have to say that if he had not been convicted, he probably, under those bylaws, could have been able to come back.
Yeah, right. That's what it sounds like.
And just say, "No, I'm claiming this. The resignation was not legitimate. I can still do it under the bylaws." It was
damn.
Yeah. This thing was. I'll just say, I'm the guy out here he would call to look at bylaws of things, and
right.
I think that you can say. I think that you can say that. And this thing was one of the tightest things that I've ever seen.
Crazy.
And I don't know if he wrote them or who wrote them, but this thing was set up to protect him and to keep him within that organization.
Well, in 98, Victim 6 comes forward to Penn State Police Department, and he stated that Sandusky allegedly soaped him up in the locker room, hugged him from behind, and stated that I'm going to squeeze your guts out. So Gricar actually set up a sting operation in the mother's home.
Well, it depends on who set it up. People have said Gricar set it up. People have said that it was actually Schreffler, and Schreffler has said that he was the guy who planned it. So we don't know who planned it.
Who is Schreffler?
Schreffler was the officer who was investigating.
Oh, okay.
He's now at Homeland Security.
So Sandusky requested to meet with the mother. That's the way I understand it.
Either that or she called him or something like that, yeah.
So officers
at the mother's
actually,
house.
Yeah, so officers actually hid in another room. Was that Penn State PD that did that, or?
That was Schreffler and Ralston, who was from the State College Police Department.
Oh, okay. All right. They hid in another room. The report indicates that Sandusky allegedly asked the mom for forgiveness, stating, "I was wrong. I wish I could get forgiveness from you. I know I won't get it from you. I wish I were dead."
Yes.
So I guess the issue is, a lot of the comments on my video, are against Gricar for not prosecuting him at that time. But
there were two things. First of all, there was a boys psychologist, who's a local psychologist whose name is Alicia Chambers, and she actually sent the material out to ChildLink because she said this looks like grooming activity.
Yeah, right.
And Child and Youth Services, whatever it is, brought in somebody who was a counselor, not a licensed psychologist, by the name of Seesock. And he gave a report and said Sandusky might have boundary issues, but I don't think that there's anything there. Now, the upshot is this. In 1998, neither one of them could testify as an expert witness. It was not permitted under the law at the time.
I see.
Even for a psychologist to do that. They changed the law after Sandusky. A psychologist could not give expert testimony as to grooming.
I didn't know that. Huh.
It was the last state in the United States to do that. So it should not have made any difference one way or the other with Gricar. Whether or not I can understand him ignoring a psychologist report. Plus, he didn't trust psychologists in general, so that was...
Yeah.
But he couldn't have used it even if he agreed with it.
Yeah, so maybe that didn't form into his opinion on this case when he decided not to prosecute it, other than, I guess, the vague statements. What exactly was... I mean, I would think that was enough to prosecute for something, but...
Well, so did everybody else.
Yeah, Yeah, just like Knight said in her final argument podcast that, he didn't want to make that, he was erring on the side of caution because he didn't want to make that decision to prosecute somebody that well-known and connected in the area and be wrong based on, vague statements that Sandusky made. And that's the issue I have with, did you hear the one guy, he had a podcast out there. How can I put this? His podcast was in defense of Sandusky's saying that he should not have been prosecuted.
Yeah, there was another guy, and I can't remember his name. There was a guy who actually managed to get Dottie Sandusky to talk on, I think, the Today Show.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up.
There were people out there like that. I will say this: they're not reputable sources. So,
is that right?
Yeah.
Let me go on my YouTube channel for a second, because some guy recommended I listen to him because he was there was a couple defenders, which is crazy. In my
I am a life member of the Alumni Association. I am not a defender of this.
Yeah. Let me see if I can.
Please, I will be very blunt. No, this thing was not.
Yeah.
What happened should not have happened, and Penn State did make a mistake there, and I think that they were rightly punished for it. So I'll leave it at that.
Right. Well, I mean, the guy that. Let me see this. Let me bring this up here because he did bring up some interesting issues with the case. But, I mean...
But remember as well, there was another victim that they had at the time that didn't testify. DK.
Yeah.
Said the same thing. So you have now two victims saying the same thing, apparently independently. That changes things a little bit.
Let me see. I'm looking at my comments here. Oh, yeah. People are arguing this out because people are saying Sandusky was innocent, believe it or not. With the amount of it. And that's what this guy's podcast basically built up an entire conspiracy theory. And it is interesting when you look at here it is. Jerry Sandusky is positively 100% innocent. Only two supposed victims testified to any sexual crimes, and they were both lying as well as being paid millions of dollars. So somebody asked, what? They have him on tape asking for forgiveness from the mom of the victim. So this guy got on and said, Well, this guy said he's innocent, but he did something to apologize for it, right? So he said an interesting hill to stand on. It's yeah. If you get a chance, check out my comments in there because there was a heated debate
I
about
will,
this.
but believe me, I've argued with these people for decades.
So right, I can imagine you have, yeah. So Ziegler,
yes.
This guy said until last
Ziegler, yes, Ziegler, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I did start listening to Ziegler's podcast, and he brought up some interesting angles to the whole Sandusky thing. But so it's like, how do you defend any of that? It's just crazy. But yeah, that's the world we live in.
Yeah, but I am very definitely not a defender of it. In fact, I'm on a number of people's negative lists because of that. That is, I'm the bane of a few people out there.
Yeah.
And I will be very happy to be their bane on this matter.
No,
yes.
It's a good place to be, I guess. But But he was convicted.
But, I mean,
Sandusky was convicted in June of 2012. He's currently in SCI Laurel Highlands. He's 82 years old now. So So that was 1998. That victim 6 came forward. 1999, and this is another theory on this whole thing, because Ray Gricar prosecutes former outlaw motorcycle gang member, and he had issues with the judge because the judge gave him less. The judge gave this outlaw, the OMG member, 4 to 8 years stay time. And Gricar basically said he's going to appeal because he thought the judge was too lenient, and the state law minimum was 8 years. So I'm not sure why judges are giving less than minimum 8 years. And it doesn't appear that I don't think he appealed, or he didn't win the appeal, because that guy actually did 6 years and was released.
I don't know if he was complaining about it. He was not the guy who argued the case either. It was actually his assistant district attorney, one of them, Steve Sloan.
Oh, is that right? Really? Oh.
Yeah, and Steve Sloan is alive and well, so that's
man, that kind of throws that theory out the window if you consider that.
Yeah, well, I kind of thought so in looking at it as well. But there was another factor there. From what I understand, the guy was an informant.
Right. Yeah, I did see that. Yes.
For the FBI.
Right.
And I can't picture a motorcycle gang coming to the aid of an informant.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's a bunch of issues with that, even though some of the evidence kind of lines up, because if you look at, I left this in my video. I didn't talk about it, but there's documents in there. I think I talked to you about this before, showing that this guy was scheduled to pay his first court cost fees. I think it was 14 days before Gricar disappeared. But I'm thinking with that evidence you just told me about, it's probably just coincidence.
Well, there's another factor here. There were two things that came out of them. One of them was from Bob Buhner, who had a contact who was in jail. I mentioned Bob Buhner was the district attorney. He went on the radio and said, "Well, I have the contact, and the mine shaft where Gricar was supposedly dumped is in Quarriesville, Bucks County."
Oh, okay.
Now, I want you to think about this. I'll tell you what. You can go to Quarriesville, Bucks County, and look for the mine shaft, because there is no Quarriesville, Bucks County. Quarriesville, as I'm sure you know, is in Lancaster County. And there are no active mine shafts there. There are flooded quarries that have been in a couple of places, I think in one place, that has been flooded since the early 1900s.
Yeah, a lot of
but
quarries.
There are no mine shafts there. So he didn't get the county wrong, or didn't get whatever it is. There are no mine shafts in Bucks County, frankly. So I looked. Okay, I mean, I can tell you where Joe Paterno was on the afternoon of 4/15.
Right. So you're talking about the guy the guy came forward in 2013 saying that a former member of the Hells Angels told authorities that Gricar was killed because of the prison sentence of the member, and he mentioned a guy that he said was dead and said he was put in a mine shaft, but the guy's not dead, for one.
Yeah,
he lives out of state. So that,
and at least in one version, in one version of the story, the mine shaft is in a town that doesn't have mine shafts.
Okay, so none of that added up at all. I see.
No,
okay.
And this is another factor here, because remember I've talked about I was posting on message boards.
Yeah.
This is going to be a little bit interesting. I was asked to come up with a scenario where maybe somebody had murdered him, and I didn't suggest a mine shaft where they could hide the body. I said maybe they could have lured him to like a vacation spot or something like that, or somebody's hunting cabin. Yeah. And I used the term an old well, and then capped the well, a pre-dug grave.
Yeah.
That was maybe the origin of the mine shaft thing in somebody's mind. Because I did that in 2006. If somebody was reading a message board about it and they just wanted to do
Oh,
some,
geez,
something like that.
Potentially you might have been the root of that
Yes.
of that theory.
Yes.
That's crazy.
It happens. It happens. Believe me.
Well, in 2001, Gricar is rerunning for DA successfully.
Yeah.
He
Well, yes and no. He had a primary challenge from a guy by the name of Bob Bascom, who was an attorney, but he didn't have too much prosecutorial experience, from what I understand. However, even though this was his running for his fifth term, he'd been an incumbent district attorney for 16 years. Gricar got just over 55% of the vote.
Oh.
Which is not particularly good.
Wow. Yeah, that is close.
Yeah. It's a victory, but it was not a particularly solid victory. And he didn't have any competition in the fall.
Okay.
This still, for a Republican primary, and again, comes back where you're talking to somebody who has a political background. For a Republican, a 16-year incumbent in a Republican primary, roughly 55-45. That's not a good sign.
Yeah, no, it's not at all. Who did he run against again?
Robert Bascom.
Wonder what happened to him.
Robert Bascom ran in 2005 after Gricar announced his retirement. He lost the primary to Michael Madera by about 2-1.
Oh, okay.
So he was not a strong candidate.
Well, 2003, that's when things start to get interesting as far as all the district attorneys are paying attention to this. Assistant United States Attorney Jonathan Luna was found deceased in a creek in Lancaster. He was stabbed 36 times with his own pocket knife.
We have the autopsy report. Most of those wounds were superficial.
Okay. Yeah, no, at one point there was a theory that he might have done it himself, but I mean...
That's still what they're taking a look at, and that's what the FBI thinks, that it might have been just an attempt to appear to have it staged an attack. And they got too deep with one of the cuts.
Oh, yeah. That's an interesting theory.
That's an interesting, that's one for another time.
Yeah, right.
Because there's a whole big thing on that as well. And I did a comparison.
Oh,
they didn't know each other. They didn't work on the same cases. They didn't have any of the cases in common. They went to different colleges.
I guess the most likely scenario they mentioned was the fact that Luna just prosecuted a huge drug case, and I think it was with a well-known rapper at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, in Baltimore. But they didn't have any state. It didn't have any state college connections.
Yeah, right. Well, a year later, 2004.
Well, can we go back a bit?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
There was something else that happened in 2003.
Yeah.
Gricar was sanctioned by a judge for basically dissuading a defense witness, a defense expert witness, a pathologist, from testifying.
Really?
Yeah. That's listed in my timeline. It was in the case of Jonathan Street, who was allegedly, and I guess I can use this word, he had allegedly raped a woman.
Oh.
And the pathologist was somebody who Gricar had used in the past. And Gricar basically called him up and said, well, if you want me to, do you want to continue me to use you in the future?
Mm-hmm.
And the pathologist withdrew and told the defense attorney why he withdrew. They called in a judge from Clinton County, Judge Williamson, who sanctioned Gricar. They removed the district attorney's office from the case and made it sent over to the attorney and required it to be sent over to the state attorney general's office.
Oh, okay.
And they made the district attorney's office pay for a new pathologist for the defense.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, it was well covered at the time.
I see on your timeline at that same year, then the website gricarmustgo.com appears. I didn't know about that either.
Yeah, we found that. It was basically, it looked like maybe somebody was swift voting him. It was, basically they were saying he has an in-your-face, and I think that's what the word, his in-your-face, we're going to get you agenda, and he's an incredible liberal, but yet he's doing things against black people.
Huh.
It was all over the place ideologically, but
oh, really?
There was somebody out there. Yeah, there was somebody out there who was doing that. And there is like I said, I did do a blog on it called "Not Everybody Loves Raymond."
Oh, okay. Did you send
But
that
it
to
was a
me?
very, pardon?
Did you send that one to me?
You have all my blogs.
Okay. All right. I didn't get a chance to look
Okay.
through everything. This month's been crazy for
I'm
me.
sure
Yeah.
there's like 100 or like 280 of them or something. So
Really?
yeah.
No, I definitely have some time
Yeah.
coming up here, so I want to dig deeper into this
Okay.
one. And I wonder if that Gricar Must Go is still out there or in the archives, the Wayback Machine or something.
It might still be in the Wayback Machine. I think I did put in a website, and I think that it was like GreatCarMustGo.com. I think I did list the location of it.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it was a hatchet job, and it was somebody really trying to nail him.
Well, a year later,
And
then, I mean, he announces that's it for him. He will not run in 2005.
Yeah, and I've often he said he was cool about it. He said that that it had always been his plan since 2001. But I've often wondered that if because of the closeness of the 2001 primary, and the sanction, which certainly would have come up in a tough reelection campaign.
Well, which judge sanctioned him? Because I know he was having problems with one of them, including the whole outlaw motorcycle gang. When the same judge keeps popping up that he was at war with, kind of.
Okay, well, he wasn't. He didn't deal with the which judge was it? Because this one was a judge that was brought in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't document it, but I'll have to send you the newspaper articles. Towards the end there, he was just like arguing a lot of this one specific judge's decisions. In a lot of the cases.
I can check because I'm thinking of a situation where a judge accused him of not giving, and again, it was a racial thing. It was not giving, and it was in 2003, not giving ARD to people that were black for the same offenses that he was giving them for being white.
Huh. Yeah, I wonder if it's the same judge.
He said that there was a racial bias, but he did clear that. He got the statistics together, turned them over to the judge. The judge reversed his decision.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll look and see who it was, but I'm pretty sure it's the same judge that he said he was going to appeal the sentence for the outlaw motorcycle gang guy.
Yeah, that it could be. The judge who actually sanctioned him was Williamson, but he was brought in from Clinton County.
Oh, okay.
Because
it
was
definitely
considered to be a conflict of interest.
Yeah, it wasn't that name. I'll have to look and see who it was because
it was like only one of the two cases where he was brought in from the other county.
Okay.
But he's the judge who actually did the sanctioning.
Yeah, and I was thinking the same thing because he was running into issues, with the sanctioning.
Lunsford?
I don't remember. I'll look and
okay. Oh, by the way, just as an aside, on the Kintu Sampson case.
Mm-hmm.
Douglas Grove was defended by Joe Amendola, the same guy who defended Jerry Sandusky.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, so in 2004, Gricar announces he's not going to run in 2005. That same year, he starts talking to people about erasing data on his hard drive. He actually buys software for it because his girlfriend says she saw the software.
And I think they found the box as well. It was empty.
Okay. And he buys a Mini Cooper that year. And according to Rebecca Knight...
Just one thing on that, and I think it's important, where he's talking to people. One of the people that he is talking to is the chief public defender, Deborah Lux. So this isn't case-related.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I thought, too. I mean, I would erase my hard drive if it had any type of personal information or case data or something like that. But, I mean...
yes, but also he used it as his home computer.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yes, he did. So there could be many personal things on there.
Well, yeah, I see that, and I didn't realize this. I see that you noted that he bought a home computer sometime around December 2004 or January 2005. So that home computer wasn't around for that long, and he was using that laptop as his personal computer prior to that.
That was his home computer, yes.
That makes sense.
So I don't think it's too unusual that he wanted to get rid of things that were on there.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be talking about, personal things, even personnel reports or notes on personnel that he might not have wanted to share with whoever replaced him.
Right.
There were some staff problems, and maybe he just didn't want that to go out there.
Yeah, good point. And if the walkaway theory makes sense, then he could have been searching for that exit strategy that he wanted to get rid of, which would...
Yes, and if he was talking about, if he was looking for things dealing with depression or suicide...
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah,
He
good
could have
point.
been looking at those things as well. So, I mean, and I'm trying to be fair here. I obviously, and I'm very clear, I'm very upfront. I think he walked away, but I think you have to take a look at a very broad view of stuff, and I think that it could point to some other things
Yeah. No,
as well, such as suicide.
yeah. And that's what I wanted to see where your stance was too. So we'll get into that here in a second. But in
Sure.
2004, he bought that Mini Cooper. According to Rebecca Knight in her Final Argument podcast, there was only 3 of those in the state at that time, so it was kind of rare.
There might have been more. I read about one with a Maryland plate that was in Lewisburg.
Okay.
Because somebody saw it and they mentioned it on a message board.
All right. So on April 14th, 2005, Ray talks to his daughter that evening, who was attending the University of Washington. She stated that it was a normal conversation. Nothing seemed strange.
It was about a 1 minute. Yes, it was just basically to call up and say I love you. There's a record of it, and you should have the record.
Okay.
Of the call. It was about a minute call.
On April 15th, 2005 is a Friday. Ray is still in bed when Patty wakes up. So she checks on him, asks him what he's doing. He says he's going to take the day off. She goes to work like normal, and she gets a call around 11:30 a.m.
The call about the dog occurred at 11:12 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, okay. Gricar called stating that he was riding down Route 192.
There was a witness who saw him turning onto 192.
Okay.
The witness knew him. The witness was a courthouse worker. The witness has a time-stamped receipt, and that's how they knew the time. The time was between 11:30 and 11:35. He made the call at 11:12. So it's possible that he made that call when he was a little bit closer to Bellefonte.
He said he wouldn't be back in time to feed and walk their dog.
Yes.
So she gets home from work. She also worked at the DA's office. He's not home. She takes care of the dog. She goes to the gym thinking, he'll be back by the time.
Well, she took care of the dog at lunch, and then she went back to work.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
She goes to the gym after she gets off work. She comes back home. He's still not there. So just before midnight, Patty calls Bellefonte police to report Gricar missing.
Well, she tried, and you have the phone record. She called him, I believe, about 5 or 6 times.
Oh, okay.
During that, from the landline in the house.
Okay.
And left voicemails.
Listening to Rebecca Knight's podcast, she said that I guess the first call she made was to an officer she knew with Bellefonte Police Department, but they were all up in the mountains partying, off duty.
The first phone call that we saw there was the one to the headquarters. And my understanding is that what happened was he got the call, the DA is missing. So he called up the chief to see what he should do.
Oh,
the chief was up partying. Next day is the first day of fishing season. They were some of them were supposed to be going out fishing or something like that.
Okay, that was the chief. I didn't realize that.
They called up Chief. I think it was Dwayne Dixon was the chief.
Okay.
And they called him up, and he basically said, send out a Ebola, and just to see if there's anybody out there. The next morning, he hadn't turned up.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so I saw the records indicate that on the next day, Saturday at 5 p.m., Gricar's car was found across from the street of shops in Lewisburg.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, the police, Daryl Zagani, he was the detective who was assigned to it. He began calling up Gricar's friends, and he talked to Steve Sloan, who remembered that when Gricar was married to his second wife, they had an argument, and he had taken off for a couple of days to Cleveland to see a doubleheader. To see a doubleheader of the Indians. They've changed the name to the Guardians now, but it was to the Indians. It was down there to the Indians. He didn't tell anybody where it was going. It was on a weekend. He came back. He was in court. He was in the courtroom the first thing Monday morning.
Oh,
so
I didn't realize that was a couple of days. I mentioned that in my video. I thought it was just a day.
It was more than a day because it was like a twilight doubleheader, and he could not physically get there and back. It would be like it was. I think it was like a Saturday. It was like a Saturday and the Sunday, and maybe he came back on the Sunday.
Oh, okay.
So it was overnight. And Sloan said, he did this one time before. And I don't know if Patty Fornicola, his girlfriend, even knew about this.
Yeah.
Because this was his second wife. And he said, he did that one time before. He used to like to go down to Cleveland. Call up Jacobs Field, the stadium where the where the Indians play and see if and have them page him and see if he's there. And they did that. They also called up the ADA, Karen Arnold. And according to her, he had been acting strangely. In fact, she described him as during that week being very distraught. That was her exact term, distraught. And he told this to Zagagny, and Zagagny said, that's what everybody's been telling me. So there was some unusual activity there, and that's also chronicled in both a timeline and a blog.
Okay.
So you will have those. You will have those that you can look at.
Yeah.
So they had called there. They also checked his computer in the office, and I think it was at that point they discovered that he had drawn a map or that he had gone to MapQuest and he'd gotten a map to Lewisburg.
That's right, yeah.
Which made no sense whatsoever because he'd been to Lewisburg many times.
Unless he was giving directions to somebody else.
Bingo.
Yeah.
They had discovered that, and at about 5:30, they had what is described as an impromptu press conference. The chief was actually holding up a still photo of the Mini in the press conference. This thing was just thrown together at the last minute. This was the first news story that came out, and it only came out in the Johnstown Altoona State College media market. It was not anything beyond that at that point.
Right, yeah. Well, so I think that's the Saturday at 5 p.m., I think it was state police that found the car, right?
It was 6:30. Yes, the state police barracks is in Milton. To go back to the barracks, they have to drive through when they're out patrolling. As I'm sure you're aware, they go through Lewisburg.
Yeah.
Water Street in Lewisburg is a shortcut where you bypass most of the traffic in Lewisburg.
Right.
So you had a cruiser a state police cruiser going past there with the trooper on the way back to end his shift.
I see.
He looks over into the parking lot, which is now largely empty, and sees a red Mini Cooper.
And he had a bolo, so he was aware.
Yeah. That was at about 6:30 on that was 6:30 on Friday, I think. They towed the car first to the barracks in Milton.
Okay.
They opened it up there, and that's where they discovered a slight smell of smoke and a single ash, like an ash fragment.
Yeah.
Something millimeters long on the passenger side floor.
Yeah, I know there was some, listening to Knight's podcast, there were some issues with statements that the tow truck driver made at that point.
Yeah, but I mean, the police have said that there was a smell of cigarettes.
Yeah, but the tow truck driver, I think, said that he didn't smell anything. Is that what that was? I think that was the issue there. Yeah,
but Zagagny, who was there, and I believe the state troopers that were there, said we smelled something, and we found this tiny fragment of ash.
So at what point did they find the cigarette butts outside the car? Was that when they were having it towed?
That was probably after they had it towed. They had the area secured. But they didn't open it up. My understanding is they didn't open it up until they got to Milton.
So, yeah, maybe they didn't notice the butts at that time and came back and noticed them sitting there where the car would have been. So who knows when they arrived there.
Yeah. We don't even know when the car arrived there for sure.
Yeah.
So,
and unfortunately, those things were eventually sent off for DNA analysis.
They did get the DNA, and it's in the database, but they don't have a match.
That's right. There was no match in CODIS. Yeah. So one question I had, and what court hearing did he have it on Monday? That Monday coming up at 9:30.
All right. This is fairly easy. There was a case. It was handled by, and I forget the woman's name. I know her initials are KK. And she ended up being the first female district attorney in Clinton County. So you can look that up.
Yeah.
You can get her full name. But she was dealing with a case there where she had either prosecuted or had a plea deal or something with one of the witnesses in the case, and they thought it might be a conflict of interest.
Okay.
Gricar was supposed to come down there to testify either A, that it wasn't a conflict of interest, or if it was to be found to be a conflict of interest, he would be able to take over the examination of that witness.
Okay, so it's not like this was some major murder case or drug case that could have been related to his disappearance.
No, this was something that if he had the flu, he could have had somebody else cover for him.
I see. Okay. All right.
Okay.
That answers that one. That theory that was going around too, because I know a lot of people were leaving questions in the comments asking what that case was and was that related to.
Well,
it.
They weren't the first people asking those questions. I was too.
Yeah.
So
So 4/17, the next day on Sunday, state police are searching the river with a helicopter. They don't see anything.
Mm-hmm. They brought in some bloodhounds. for the parking lot. They discovered his trail going from where the Mini was to the edge of the parking lot.
Yeah.
Then the dog circled. The trainer thought that it meant that he had gotten into another car. The dog handler, I should say, thought that it meant that he got into another car.
Monday morning, FBI joins this investigation.
Yes and no. They said that they were going to check his finances.
Okay.
They didn't actually send out investigators.
That's the same day that somebody claimed they were talking to Gricar in a Wilkes-Barre bar, I think, and
Yes.
he was wearing a suit, and they were talking about the Cleveland Indians.
Yes, in a sports bar outside of that. Actually, two people, including one of them was the bartender. The other one was a patron who was what I've been told was an off-duty Philadelphia police officer.
Huh.
I've not been able to track him down. I've sent you his name. If you can track him down, I would be more than happy to talk to him. If you could tell me if you could tell me who he was. I have tried, but I could not track him down here. I live in Philadelphia, obviously, as I'm JJ in Philly.
Yeah.
And I would love to talk to the guy. The Bellefonte police later in 2011 said that they had ruled that one out, though.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if they had or they hadn't or what the situation is with it, but they said it was not. We don't know who it was, but we've ruled it out.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just talking to you today. There's several names I want to list as individuals I'd love to interview here about this, so I'll add that to the list. Mm-hmm. So in 422, approximately 36 police and rescue workers from 5 counties searched the Susquehanna River. Again, nothing.
They used boats. They used dogs. They used divers. They had a helicopter at some point who checked down to Harrisburg. Even later in May, they brought in cadaver dogs again. Nothing.
Really?
Yeah, May 8th, I believe.
Well, the case kind of went cold. It looks like they gave Patty Fornicola a polygraph, which she passed, saying she had no idea what is going on with this. And then that next month...
Well, there was something else as well, and I think that this is important to note.
Yeah.
She sat down with the guy I mentioned before, Bob Bueller, who was the district attorney of Montour County, and Ted McKnight, who was the district attorney of Clinton County. They were both friends of Ray, and she sat down with them over dinner at the, I can't even remember the name of the restaurant there, but it was a local restaurant in Bellefonte for 4 hours.
Oh.
While they went over the case.
And when did that happen?
That happened before she was polygraphed.
Oh, okay. All right.
It was like 2 or 3 weeks into it. Some people have thought maybe she was involved in this. I'll tell you what, if it was me, I would not sit down with 2 seasoned prosecutors without a lawyer for 4 hours.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Well, August 1st, that's when fishermen find Gricar's laptop under State Route 45 bridge. Actually,
July 30th.
Oh, really? Oh, maybe that might have been the newspaper article date.
Yeah, okay, yeah. It was on July 30th. It was on July 30th. They found the laptop sitting very close to one of the piers under the highway bridge that goes out of Lewisburg. I think it's Kyrie's Route 45.
Yeah.
And it was on the north side of the bridge, the side without a sidewalk.
Right, yeah. The crazy thing is that thing did not have a hard drive. The hard drive is missing from this computer.
Yes, and the hard drive, you have to actually, and I think I sent you a copy of the technical manual for it.
Yeah.
You actually have to push the top open to get it out and then slide something out. Push a slide in order to pull the hard drive out of it.
Yeah.
You don't need tools to do it, but it can be done without the, it's not something that's just going to drop out on its own.
Right. October 26th, the hard drive is found on the banks of the Susquehanna River, just further upstream.
It was found before that. They just announced it, I think, on the 31st.
Okay.
But it was found, I think, in September.
Oh, okay.
They held it. They did not release that information immediately. Huh. They were trying to get information off of it.
Yeah.
Which they couldn't do. It was found basically opposite the Packwood House Museum in the Susquehanna River. It was at a spot where it could have easily been thrown from the bank. I was actually stood there at one point and took a heavy rock and threw it out there. And I'm disabled. I'm not in particularly good shape. Ray Gricar was in much better shape than I am, and I could easily have thrown something as light as that thing was that distance without a problem.
Yeah, well, I walked that path along the river down there myself in the video I made, and right around the area where that thing was most likely thrown into the river, I believe. But the
Yeah.
Rebecca Knight interviewed a woman from that museum who
Snyder.
stated
Snyder is her name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She basically told her that it was a man that looked just like Ray standing in that field across from the museum there.
Yeah.
So that definitely aligns with where the...
And they saw him, and the Mini was parked there as well. So
yeah, she said that was a unique thing.
Yeah, a man who looks like Ray Gricar driving a Mini on 41505, that's pretty much,
And pacing.
It's pretty much him.
Yeah, she said he was pacing back and forth and appeared to be waiting for somebody. So it definitely seems like he most likely met somebody there. And,
it's possible.
Yeah, and decided just to dump that hard drive and laptop into the river.
Well, the hard top, absolutely. The laptop itself, I'm not sure. It was physically possible to have tossed that laptop from even alone from a Mini over the railing on there. The railing is only about 34 inches. And
yeah,
the clearance of a...
I see that theory a lot. Yeah, and you and I talked about it. You did some really good investigation on that and measurements. But, I mean, my initial theory when I walked up there, it was so easy to walk down to the river there and just throw that stuff in right there. Hard drive, walk down a little further, throw the laptop.
Yeah, well, one thing is, I think if you're gonna walk, the other side has a walkway. You could just very easily toss the laptop from the walkway.
Yeah, but I mean,
in the middle of the river.
Here's what I don't understand about that whole theory. Why does everybody think that he threw it from that bridge when he was seen right by that section where he could have just thrown it in there?
Well, it was a little bit heavier and there was debris, and it's very likely it would have stuck with the debris if he had thrown it from there.
So
at the time, I can understand that, but I don't necessarily say I would not necessarily say that he was the one who threw it from the bridge, though he could have been.
Yeah.
And I do have a theory on this as a possibility.
Yeah, what is that?
If he was going to return, let's assume that he was murdered.
Yeah.
And he was going to return. He might have just wanted to say, you know what, I had the laptop. He wanted to get rid of it anyhow. We know this. We wanted to get rid of the stuff on it. He would just go back and say it was a county-issued laptop, and he would go back and say, you know what, I was down in Lewisburg, and I tripped, and it went into the river. The laptop, I had it with me, and I couldn't recover it, and here, let me give you $200 to cover the costs.
Yeah.
That would have settled everything.
Right.
But if you do that, you can't go back with just an empty laptop or with just a laptop without a hard drive and make that kind of a claim. But you could do it if you could get rid of that. So I'm wondering if maybe it was an afterthought. Or if he was walking away, maybe he was going to just do that and thought, I'll just leave it in the car. And then he realized, wait a minute, they're going to be looking for a hard drive as well.
Yeah.
So I'll just dump it in there. Those are both possibilities, but I can't say that he actually tossed the laptop itself into the river, because maybe, there can be a number of different scenarios there, or really that it points to any particular scenario.
Yeah. Well, this thing kind of went cold. I couldn't find any developments between, 2005 and 2011 when...
Oh, yeah, there were.
What happened in between there?
Okay. Well, first of all, the mystery woman became publicized. Okay. And I think we've talked about that. There was a woman, he was seen with a woman in the Street of Shops.
Yeah, I wasn't sure when the dark-haired woman thing came out.
It was reported to the police on 4/16.
Oh.
One of the first people who saw him said he was there with a woman. There were some reports, but not really emphasized reports, that came out over the summer of 2016 in a Q&A section of the Center Daily Times website. That was the newspaper. And there was an article in a Cleveland Independent newspaper in November of 2005. But it didn't get big readership in Center County because it's in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Then it was emphasized when Dateline NBC did a program on it.
I saw that. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that exploded.
Somebody mentioned that in my comment section that they saw security video that was supposedly released of him inside the Street of Shops with this dark-haired girl. I don't know if that's true because I haven't seen it.
I have never heard of it. I have never seen it.
Yeah.
I have never heard. From what I've been told, they don't have security cameras, and I was there and I didn't see any security cameras.
Yeah.
But I was there much later.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I don't think that video exists.
There is a video of him going into the courthouse the night before.
Oh, okay.
Do you want a copy?
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see.
I'll see if I can dig it up.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can dig it up. That was one of the developments. The second development was they began talking to people about his finances. And this was a man who had been grossing over $100,000 a year for the last 7 years. And he didn't seem to have a lot of money. And he did things like have the Mini Cooper put in his girlfriend's name.
Yeah.
He paid off her mortgage, but he wasn't on the mortgage. He didn't appear to have any huge amount of savings. It was supposed to be around, I've heard reports of just over 100,000 to just over 80,000.
Huh.
He didn't have any property, didn't have any debt, didn't have anything. It was just basically, he had his clothes and some like cameras that he used to collect. And that was it. A number of things there, and this gets into a lot. Believe me, we get when you get into the finances, you really start getting into going down the rabbit hole.
Right. Well, the one big thing that jumped out to me was the potential Virgin Islands account that you discovered somewhere.
I didn't discover it. The police discovered it, but that wasn't released until the information got leaked.
So what was the deal with that? Casey and I talk a little bit about this on her show.
Okay.
But I didn't know the details.
In the police report, he had in his check register that he had been transferring money to some account. The account is listed as VG. There is no record of that account. If it was something in the United States, it would be under his Social Security number.
Yeah.
And as we've discussed previously, police would have access to that. They'd be able to put in a hit into the system and be able to tell if if he had an account someplace, usually after maybe 72 or 96 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have that in my job, so that's how I know that you can do that. That didn't show up. Nobody knows where that account was. But the VG, which was listed, is a bank code prefix for the British Virgin Islands. Doesn't prove that there's money into the British Virgin Islands, but he was moving money someplace. We don't know where it was.
Yeah, that's the fascinating part of this. And up until I found out about that from you, I was leaning towards the suicide route. But that's definitely compelling information. At least led me back to the walk away theory and the whole Slovenia thing. But I remember reading something that investigators went to Slovenia at one point.
No, they had his information translated into Slovenian.
Okay.
And they distributed flyers of it through Interpol. Oh,
okay. Yeah, I wonder what's going on with that, considering, Kiki fled there and lived out his life until he passed away, I think in 95 or something like that? Or
96.
96, yeah.
Yeah.
And Ray Gricar was Slovenian ancestry.
Yes, he was eligible for Slovenian citizenship. If you have one great grandparent who was born there, you're eligible.
So but that's the question. Why? Two. So why do you think he would do that? Do you have any theories on why?
A number of them, and one just came out.
Okay.
Well, he had told his girlfriend that the reason he was putting everything in her name was in case he was sued. That's what he told her. That's why he drove the Mini all the time. It's in her name. Why is he doing it? In case he's sued. Well, there are a number of things that could be coming out here with money. And one of them is he was divorced in 2001. The divorce was finalized. He filed for divorce himself. She didn't. March of 2001. Divorce was finalized on July 30th, 2001. What happened about 6 weeks after that?
Yeah, 9/11.
9/11. If he was hiding money in his divorce overseas or in a foreign account, it might suddenly become a lot harder to get it back into the country.
Yeah, right.
That would be one thing. Another thing would be if he were worried about litigation, he might have been trying to shelter assets. We discovered just within the last year that he had suppressed evidence in a murder case, evidence that would have been exculpatory.
That's right. Yeah. What was the name of that?
Vadam. It was the Vadam case, and I can't pronounce the person's first name, but it was Subu Vadam.
That's right. That was just this year, right?
That was it was 2025.
So he was found not guilty on appeal. Is that what happened?
No, what happened was he was found guilty, and they did a post-conviction relief act or something like that. It was under that.
Yeah.
And they got the files, and they found out that in the files, Ray had the measurements for the bullet hole, which was about 0.22 inches.
Yeah.
He claimed that the murder weapon was a .25 caliber handgun, which is .25.
Mm.
You don't have to be an expert on ballistics to know that a bigger bullet is going to create a smaller hole. You know that that's not the case.
Yeah. So what? They withhold that from discovery or something?
He withheld it from discovery, and it's in his handwritten notes.
Oh,
he handled the case. He handled the case in 1983 as a assistant district attorney. The case was appealed because of some of the questions relating to what the judge permitted the questioning in that. The case wasn't overturned, but it was sent back to the court. He was retried in 1988.
Oh, okay.
In 1988, it was also discovered, or he also knew apparently that one of the witnesses for the prosecution committed perjury.
Mm.
And there are handwritten notes on that in his handwriting in the file.
Damn.
He didn't report it.
He did that time until just this year and was released.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Mm. Mm.
And based on a conviction where exculpatory evidence was not granted or was hidden. Possibly he could be subject to, if he were still around and there, he could be subject to a federal lawsuit.
Yeah.
The county does have liability insurance, but we're not entirely clear if it does, if it's apparently a deliberate attempt to hide the information.
Yeah.
Under federal law. There is also a state law that may have some bearing on that. I don't know if it was in place in the 1980s when these occurred, but there could be something there where he would have been subject to at least a misdemeanor, but that might have been enough to remove his pension.
Man,
so there's now suddenly a very good reason for him to go, I'm not going to stick around here for this.
Yeah, so he definitely had some skeletons in his closet, it sounds like, that...
a lot more than I was very much surprised to see that.
Yeah.
But I think that there are a number of reasons for that. He was interested in the Mel Wiley case, who did walk away, or not trying to cover up for anything, like that. He was interested in the case. He might have just thought that this was an intriguing thing to do. He did have an ego. He might have actually thought that this was a great way to show up law enforcement. But he was going to show his superiority to basically everybody.
Yeah.
And if he did. I mean, I will say this: if this is what he did, Ray Gricar, I salute you. You are a smarter man than I am.
Yeah, it's definitely an elaborate scheme for him to disappear like this and for this long.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, and this is what I talked to the KC about a little bit, is if you look at my most recent interview with Joe Martino, who was the informant that took down the Altoona Mafia and then disappeared into state witness protection.
Yeah.
And he just resurfaced when he contacted me two months ago. Everybody thought he was dead. Nobody knew what he had a new name, and he went out to Colorado in 1984 after he testified, and that was just state witness protection. They gave him a name of a 6-year-old kid that passed away and a new social security number, and that guy disappeared in the United States.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's not possible to do. I'm not saying raising witness protection, but he's an example of somebody who went off radar and was never seen again.
I think it's very possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, possible is not proof, and that's the thing that I'm looking for.
But I think that, but my only flaw with the whole walkaway thing is his daughter. So my question is, you think if they interviewed or if they polygraphed his daughter now, I know they did back then, but if they polygraphed her now, would that indicate that she made contact with somebody she believes to be her father?
It's entirely possible. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would have put her into that situation.
Yeah.
I think him being a very, very good lawyer would not want to put his daughter into a position where she could commit perjury.
Yeah, I know, but at what point? You're 80 years old. What would he be, 81 now or something?
He will be 81 in October.
Yeah, 81 years old. It's like, at what point do you say, okay, it's all right to talk about this? But that's the point, is this case, if the walkaway theory is correct, then this case is not a murder. It's not it's not a suicide. This would be investigated as fraud at this point.
If he told her. If he didn't tell her and she doesn't know, it's not fraud.
Right, exactly. Unless, I mean, you'd have to look at his finances to see if he did
Yeah.
anything there. But yeah, most likely there's not fraud unless she was aware of this or became aware of it and didn't say something about it. So, I mean, that's the thing that I think about.
And there's another possible factor. You can tell somebody something without telling them.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody could give her a message.
Yeah.
Remember talking about 20/20 vision?
Yeah.
Perhaps he was using that as a message. It was interesting because I knew that the story was going to come out before it broke. And I posted some things on a message board and things like, more light will be coming on this case when the sun rises in the west. And that was a reference to the author's name.
Oh, is that right? Okay. I got to read that.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can find a copy of that, old copy of that book.
But I was sending everybody a message.
Yeah.
And most people could not get that message. But it was just maybe a day or so before it came out, but I was driving people crazy on that message board for that day.
Man.
Because I knew that there was something coming out.
Yeah.
And was that a message?
Yeah.
Did he maybe send her a copy of the book?
Yeah.
Did he know if she has read the book or not? Would that be a message?
Man, I just don't know. I don't think I could do it. Disappear and not talk to my daughter after all this time, particularly if, at 80 years old, I know eventually I'd have to talk to her about it. But I mean, then again, he set her up for life with, his life insurance.
That was another factor. It was life insurance and his pension.
Yeah.
They got his full pension in one lump sum.
Yeah. I mean, he set her up, but to not talk to my daughter, man, that's the hardest part of the walk away theory for me. And I can't come to terms with it, but if that's the case, that is just crazy. I mean, imagine imagine him dying at some point, and I mean, unless they do a DNA test on him, if he dies suspiciously and they run him for DNA, that's the only way we're going to know.
If it's in Slovenia, they might not even do that.
Yeah, that's true. Who knows?
And by the way, he has family in Slovenia as well.
Damn.
He's visited them as well. He's visited Slovenia a couple of times.
Yeah, based on that information that you gave me in the past couple of weeks here, I went from suicide straight to walk away myself. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I think that's what it shows, but the daughter's the hardest part.
I think there's more evidence for it, but I don't think it's proof, and that's what I'm looking for.
Right, yeah. Yeah, but how,
And that's the one thing that, and I hope that is not edited out, but that's the one thing that I am actually looking for is solid evidence, just not probable evidence.
Yeah, this is all speculation at this point. We don't have any solid evidence on any of this. I mean, it would take a sighting, a definitive sighting of him, or a definitive identification of him somewhere for that to even be true.
There might be one they never checked. There might be one that they've never checked. Southfield, Michigan. You can take a look at that one at some point. But that's
you mentioned that before. When did that come in?
Yeah. It came in. It was roughly when it happened. It was a few days after it happened. It was the Memorial Day weekend of 2005. A retired police officer who was also a sketch artist and his daughter were having dinner in a restaurant in Southfield, Michigan. He saw a man that he thought he recognized, and it was enough to say hello to the man, and the man kind of nodded. The man was with an older woman. He couldn't remember where he saw that man. His daughter was there and saw her as well. He was watching a rerun on CNN, and they were covering the Gricar case. That struck him and said, "That's the guy I saw."
Oh.
Called up his daughter, said, "Take a look at this." Turned it on, looked at it, said, "That's the guy you saw." They reported it to the police. He had picked him out of a photo lineup. They asked people at the restaurant. Some people said he looked familiar, but weren't too sure. But the guy was absolutely sure it was him. Like I said, he's a retired police officer who was also a sketch artist. So it's somebody who should be able to identify faces.
Yeah.
They've never been able to rule that one out or rule it in. But it happened on the Friday of the Memorial Day weekend, at a time when a lot of people would be traveling, and where if you wanted to do something, you could stop. You wanted to do something and basically blend with a crowd, that would be a good place to do it. Southfield is about 40 minutes from the Canadian border. And Southfield is also the home of a Macedonian embassy, or consulate, excuse me. Macedonia is one of the former Yugoslavian republics like Slovenia was. If you needed to get a visa to get there, that would be a good place to do it. That doesn't mean that that's what happened.
Right.
But there's a lot of coincidences there.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I would be looking at would be to see if the people that were close to Ray Gricar on 4/15/05, both geographically and emotionally, maybe purchased a car or did a straw rental or something such as that.
Yeah.
And that person was meeting him there to get that car back.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. So Knight getting those reports. I mean, this is the first time I've heard of any reporter or anybody getting, an active case.
Okay.
Getting the reports from, I don't know if it was a right to know request. Do you know anything about that? How
no,
did she
there
get the
was
report?
they were leaked.
Oh, so so Knight's reports, because she said on her podcast that she was given time to look through them, and I think it was like 48 hours or something like that.
Yeah, this was they were basically leaked.
Oh.
And she had copies of them up on her site, and what you're looking at are copies of the police reports.
So you're saying state police didn't give her time to sit down and look at that stuff?
As far as I know, no.
Oh, wow. So somehow they got out, and she was given time to make copies of everything somehow from the leaked files. That explains it. Yeah, I was not understanding that at all. That is crazy that they were actually leaked.
Okay. Well, you need to ask me this. You need to ask me the question about how I know this.
Well, yeah. How do you know this? Okay.
Well, in 2008, I'd actually written to the Bellefonte Police Department, and they even by that point they knew who I was. But I had been in contact with both them and the district attorney's office under Parks Miller. And I'd given them some theories. It was basically a one-way flow of information from me to them, but they weren't giving me anything. But I felt that, I wanted to see the case taken care of. I had sent them a letter to the Bellefonte Police in 2008, and I said, if you need to contact me, here is a code word. Well, they had contacted me using the code word.
Oh.
I'm not going to tell you what the code word was.
Yeah. Right.
But so one night, it was a Friday night, I am sitting at home and my phone rings. And I pick up the phone and say hello, and I hear the code word on the other end.
Oh.
And I said, you have my undivided attention.
Huh.
So I knew whoever was on the other end of the phone, they had access to the police files. Because nobody else knew what that code word was.
Oh. Huh. So the code word was between you and Bellefonte Police.
Yeah, well, and it was also shared with the district attorney's office as well.
Okay.
So when,
but I think by the time
after the 2009 election, yes.
Okay, so I was under the impression that when Knight gained access to these files, it was after state police took over in 2013. Is that correct? As far as you know,
it was at about that time, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think she necessarily said when she got the files, but
yeah, I know that in like I said, I know that it was after 2008 because that's when I sent out the letter.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sure it was after the Sandusky case broke. So that would have been 2011. So
okay.
It's getting in about the time when everything was being transferred.
Right. Yeah, that's a whole fascinating part of this there. I was wondering how the heck she ended up with that. And she didn't really say. She just said she was given access to them. So I guess it could have been leaked.
That's and as you know, because believe me, there were people like me who would have loved to have sat down and taken a look at the entire file.
Yeah.
And plus a few dozen journalists, not me, but actual journalists.
Yeah.
And we would have loved it. Yeah. Yeah.
Man. Well, yeah, this is a crazy case. I'm glad that you've been studying this for as long as you have, and we were able to talk about it, but we definitely need to keep the conversation going. Like I said, I'd like to interview some of these people that were involved with this.
So would I.
Yeah. Yeah. To see what between the two of us, maybe we can make contact with some of these guys and continue this conversation, because I honestly think, and this is what I told KC, I think eventually the truth's going to come out on this, and it's going to be, just like my Altoona Mafia videos, it's going to take time for people to realize it's okay to talk about it now. And we're getting there because, I mean, he's 81. So in the next 10 years, he's most likely not going to be here anymore. And people can finally come out and say, here's what I know about it.
That's another possibility. There might just be a notification that he died, and then something will be revealed.
Yeah, I think that's how it's going to work. And with some of the cases that I've worked on in the past, that's what it is just making awareness to some of them, and then people start talking years later.
If he walked away, that's
if
another problem.
Away. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
if he walked away. I mean, the other theories of suicide, not showing up in the river, it's rare for it to happen, but it does happen.
Now, I will say this: your first video, if I can talk about that for a second, because I think it's complimentary.
Yeah.
I actually went back and I looked at that because after reading that, I raised the odds on suicide a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. We kind of moved in the other direction.
I know, right? Yeah.
But one of the things that I did notice was I looked at the west branch of the Susquehanna.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to look for bodies of people that have gone in and not come out.
Yeah.
I couldn't find any. All of them have been found. But I did find in 2018 a lady and her young daughter went over the dam in Williamsport.
But they found her too. They found
the woman almost instantly.
Yeah.
They found the daughter though about a month later.
Yeah.
39 miles downstream.
Right. Yeah.
And in outside of Northumberland.
Right. Yep. I saw the same thing.
She would have actually had to have moved. She actually would have had to have. I wouldn't say necessarily floated, but she had to move She had to move down the river, past Milton, past Lewisburg, all the way to get down there, and that's a possibility. So I won't say it's impossible, but it's unlikely, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, exactly, and that's where I'm at with that. It's very unlikely. It does happen. I mean, I brought up the Elizabeth Dorsanio case that happened in York County. She is yet to be found.
Yes, and there was another case that now I'm to the point where I'm keeping track of who's drowning in the Susquehanna and the various branches. There was a man in December of 2005 who fell in near Danville in the north branch of the Susquehanna.
Was he the one they found the bones like 10 years later?
They might have. I'm not certain.
Well, because there's a case in my video where I briefly just flashed it on the screen, but his bones they found, and it turns out it was from a guy that disappeared 10 years ago. DNA test determined.
Oh, I'd love to hear about that because that would take out one of those things.
Yeah, look on my video. It's a screenshot in there when I'm talking about the whole river theory.
If I can give you what hopefully will be a little bit of a humorous story about this, I've had to, by nature, doing this, I'm becoming more and more familiar with deaths and things such as that. And I was going to a conference with a friend of mine named Christine, who's now passed away. And as we're going, I'm reciting all of the places where people have died along the path.
Right.
And I'm thinking, now I'm wondering if she thinks I'm a serial killer.
Right.
And anyhow, I returned home to my old zip code, which was the same zip code as Gary Heidnick.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Not at the same time, but I ended up living about a mile from where he lived.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's fascinating.
Yes.
Jeez.
Yeah. So it's been all of these bizarre things, but I mean, I'm going through and saying, well, that's where Luna was killed, and that's Hershey Medical Center where the fiance where Betsy Arzma was a woman killed in the stacks in the library.
In Hershey.
I'm going.
In Hershey.
That was in State College, but her fiance was in Hershey.
Oh,
He's a doctor. He's a doctor.
Oh, I see.
And they actually interviewed him, and because they were considering him a suspect, and they were studying for finals, and he was fortunately studying with a group of other people, and they all knew where he was. He was very quickly cleared, but they were actually dealing with him, and he's still. Last time I checked, he's still with us, and he's still in practice.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you brought up a couple of cases I'm going to start digging into. I didn't know about that State College murder in the book, so yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah.
All right, JJ, you have a good night.
Okay.
Thanks.
You too.